Welcome to Grit and Gravitas with Ann and Annie, bringing you savvy, spirited stories of success. We're excited to deliver 30 minutes of inspiration, impact, and goodness. We'll be bringing you guests and friends from around the country who have very special work and personal journeys. I'm Ann Deeter Gallaher, your co-host with Annie Carnathan, and this is Grit and Gravitas. Let's go! Annie Carnathan, it is March and Women's History. This is a big month for women. Women's History Month and International Women's Day. Yep. I want to say that's March 7th or 8th. Correct me on that. And in the studio today, this could not be more prescient. I'd love to say it's planned and take credit for that. I can't.
It's the Lord's work.
Yes, there. I'm going to go with that too. We have Ashley Walkowiak, who is, and 1 year in the job, right? This is a very, very big job. She's executive director of the Pennsylvania Governor's Commission on Women.
Yep. All these confetti.
And Ashley, I have a million questions, as Annie does too. We're all mothers of boys, so I think there's a crown waiting for us somewhere.
Somewhere there's got to be.
We wear it well.
Yes. But let's just start. Give us a little backstory on your journey, your career journey to a state appointment, correct?
Sure.
The governor appointed you to this commission.
That's correct. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And you look like you're 20. So, I mean, there's another point.
I just need to keep you now with me all the time. So you just tell me
Having
that.
a 17-year-old. I'm not gonna lie. That doesn't seem
I know.
possible.
We want the skin routine. We want it all. But please, tell us the backstory.
I've been in state government for 20 years. I hit my 20 years in state government in December.
Okay.
I spent the early part of my year doing, really, I tell people I grew up in the governor's office of administration doing HR work and communications work, right?
Nice.
That's where I cut my teeth, all of that kind of policy administration type behind the scenes work. But around 10 years into that world, I started processing my own trauma.
Yeah.
So I was stalked, drugged, and raped as a 17-year-old.
Like that, just full stop there, because there's really no business item that can set us up for that. The trauma, I can't imagine. And I know you have spoken about this and shared your story. But, proceed with what you're willing to share.
Yeah. I do. You're right. I do a lot of public speaking on that topic. But minors who experience
17, you're in high school. This is high school?
This is summer before my senior year of high school. Yeah. But minors who experience sexual violence, we know that 1/3 of them disclose, almost immediately, like within that first year. 1/3 of them will never disclose.
You mean women, the victims?
All.
Oh.
All victims, yeah. 1/3 will never disclose. And then another third, it takes about 10 years for them to get to a point in their own, healing journey for, I have sometimes take issue with the word healing, but through their journey to disclose. And that's the category that I fell into. So I was about 10 years post that experience when I finally disclosed, found a counselor, started working to process all of that. And in doing so, I'd already fallen completely in love with public service. And started seeking out where in state government victim service and supporting crime victims really fit into that system.
Right.
Because state government's a big system. I mean, we're about 80,000 state employees, how many state agencies, and trying to find where I could plug that experience into my professional life and my desire to serve the public. And I wound up at a conference. I was there, as a survivor. I'd taken the day off work, attended as a survivor. It was a roundtable put on by the Attorney General's office. And by sheer divine intervention, I was seated at the table with the appointed Commonwealth victim advocate. And she got up to leave the conference, and I finally worked up the courage, and I chased her through this ballroom, right? And begged her to have coffee with me and give me advice on how I can plug into this work.
Well,
Business vitamin.
I love the fact that you took the initiative, doing whatever it takes to go find the person that, would open a door for you or help support you in your mission then. And you probably didn't even know what exactly that whole mission was going to be.
No, I had no idea, at that time. She was incredibly gracious, and she said, yeah, contact my assistant, we'll set up coffee. So I did that, and coincidentally, the day we met for coffee, her special assistant had just given her notice. She was going to go be a college professor, and I walked away with a job offer.
Oh, my word. Oh, I'm not surprised.
Unplanned,
Are you surprised?
right?
I'm
Completely,
no.
Completely unexpected, completely
That's
unplanned.
amazing.
Serendipity, right? And what that really taught me was to always ask, always ask for someone to open that door for you.
They're not going to knock on our doors because they don't know what we're seeking.
Yeah.
The best part about asking to me, Ashley, is first of all, there's no harm in it, but a lot of people have difficulty with no, especially women. Yeah. And the more you ask, regardless of what it is, it normalizes no. Yeah. Just the way it normalizes.
Well, you're a great teacher with that. And part of it is being vulnerable. Like you're talking to a stranger, you're asking for coffee, and you're, I'm sure, trying to formulate the story of what the conversation will be like. And she could have easily said, I don't know who you are. I don't have time.
Sure.
I'm in the middle of
But what motivated that? I mean, why were you so focused on that with her moment?
So I had started asking, and this is where networking with women is so powerful, right? Yes. I had started sharing with folks that this was the career path that I wanted to take.
Oh, good.
And everyone just kept saying over and over again, you have to meet with this woman, you have to meet with this woman.
Nice.
And I'm like, I don't, how do I do that? How do I get in touch with her? How do I, and so when we all went around the table and said our names, it was like, oh my gosh.
Here's the open door.
What fate, right?
Yes.
And I try to pay that forward now. I get a lot of messages from, especially younger women, or women wanting to make a career change or looking into how to plug into women's advocacy work.
I messaged you.
You did.
Yeah.
On LinkedIn or, through various connections. And I say yes as often as I possibly can. Yes, I'll meet for coffee.
We do that too, but that's another business vitamin, is to make those asks, with no guarantee, in full vulnerability of the person saying no. Yeah. And I need to spend more time with Annie to get the thicker skin that's required. You don't, what do you say? How many no's before you get to your yes?
Well, yeah, the most no's wins, because it's all connections. I believe whatever happens, regardless, is pushing you toward something that is going to, usually out of your comfort zone. That's the other reason it's very difficult to keep asking, getting no, and continuing one foot in front of the other. That's just human nature. Yeah. But that sort of will and that focus is just amazing to me, especially for what the topic was and what it was about. And solely you wanted to help you first and others close second.
Yeah. But you kept paying it forward, which is awesome.
Exactly.
Too.
I do. It's really important to me.
Yes.
And some of these women have become dear friends of mine, over the years. But so I wound up with this job, and little did she or I or anyone else in our agency know that Pennsylvania was about to become, the epicenter of sexual violence, really for the world. So during my time there, we had the Catholic Church grand jury report. Yeah. We had the Sandusky appeals, the Cosby sentencing, the Boy Scouts of America, all of these things. And they kind of all hit Pennsylvania, boom, boom, boom. And as you can imagine, being a survivor and doing this work, at the same time, carrying your own burdens, carrying other folks' burdens, there's a really heavy emotional toll. So I received a job offer to do policy and legislative work at Pennsylvania's Civil Rights Enforcement Agency. And I thought, Yes.
Is that a state agency too?
It is.
Okay.
It is. And I thought, I can take a little bit of a step back, right, from the direct hands-on work. This will be a good break for me. So I did that for a while, and it allowed me to bring in my background in trauma-informed care principles and gender-based violence into, from the criminal justice side to the civil rights side.
Good.
Fast forward a period of time, and, I got a call asking me to interview for this job. And I thought, someone wants me to work full time to advocate for women and girls all day, every day. Like, someone's going to pay me to do this. Yes. And I tell people all the time, I have the grooviest job in state government, hands down.
Love it. I love it.
And so it's been a journey, but I absolutely love what I'm doing now. And the commission has an interesting history, which I love to talk about. So if you'll permit me, I'll take a minute and share. So the commission itself, we're the original advisory commission. The governor has 6 advisory commissions. We're the OG. We were created in 1964 under Republican Governor Scranton. And since that time, the name has changed over the years, but we've been in existence advising both Republican and Democratic governors on the needs and interests and policy solutions relevant to women.
Right.
We currently have 3 sort of buckets of policy priorities that we're focusing on. Policy priorities determined by our 30 appointed commissioners across the state. So the governor appoints who he wants on the Women's Commission to advise him on policy issues. And these women are truly inspiring. I mean, what a powerhouse group. They're from all over Pennsylvania, from Philly to Erie. We've got folks up in NEPA, down to Pittsburgh, rural, urban, suburban, various sectors.
So you're the OG in more ways than one then.
Yeah.
Because that's an incredible, that's a lot of people. That's a ton of women.
It is. And they are, when we are together, it is truly magical. Like, there's not a more magical.
Oh, awesome.
That's the way we feel
group.
about our G&G tribe. Seriously, it's women helping women.
It is. It is. And we don't always agree on the solutions, right? I think most people tend to agree on the problems, right?
Yeah.
We don't always agree on the
too,
solutions.
because sometimes, I'm sure you have found, and Annie too, in our speaking endeavors, we kind of like women, we don't live as a block. We don't vote as a block. We don't, support policies as a block just because we're women.
Yeah.
And I love a tent that's big enough to bring everybody under it.
Yeah.
And if you have 30 different women that you're describing, we all learn when we listen.
Yeah.
When we speak, we're speaking things we already know.
Yeah.
It's so counterintuitive to have that if people don't have differing views. And I just find that so heartwarming that there can be that Venn diagram where I think this, you think that, but in the middle, we might agree on more than we think we agree on.
Almost 100% of the time.
Right.
That's great.
Women are not a monolith.
Right.
Like,
My
we
point.
all
Yes.
bring
Yes.
our own background,
Amen.
culture, lived experience to the table, right? And the magic happens when you figure out how to maximize that.
Great. Is that part of your role then? Is learning, what opportunities can maximize that? Either the shared purpose, the shared mission.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. I often refer to my commissioners as builders. They are out there, finding and building those moments. But one of the things we run into very often is this assumption that because we have a Democratic governor, the Women's Commission must be a Democratic body. And it's simply not the case. We are a bipartisan group of women. We're the only, of the 6 advisory commissions, we're the only commission with legislators on the commission.
I love this.
I have 2 Democrats and I have 2 Republican legislators, which really positions us in a powerful way to create lasting impact for women across the state. So we've got these 3 buckets of policy priorities. The first is women's health. This is where we talk about postpartum depression, period poverty. We started talking about menopause, which is really exciting. Every time I mention that, it's the whole room cheers.
Yes.
And healthcare access. We've got a number of birthing centers closing across the state. So women are having to drive further than they've ever had to drive before, to give birth. So all these things kind of fall under this women's health bucket that we discuss. Our second is women in the workforce. This is where we talk about the childcare crisis, the gender wage gap.
Yeah.
We do work under this umbrella to support women veterans and women in non-traditional careers.
Nice.
And then our third is a newer body of work focused on violence against women and prevention. So all those things you would think of that, come to mind certainly do: sexual assault, domestic violence, human trafficking, teen dating violence, stalking, all of those things. And there are interesting intersections, right, in those spaces for women. But that's what we've been talking about. And it's been fascinating to hear from women all across the state about these things and other things.
So back to this incredibly traumatic, in a very negative way.
Yeah.
So how do you move forward from that ultimately, Ashley? No matter how long it takes.
Yeah.
How does it become cathartic for you to continue in this, for all intents and purposes, vertical versus not being re-traumatized
Yeah.
every time
Yeah.
you're hearing about something, you're hearing about a new woman, you're trying to move forward? Because I believe that we all have something
Agreed.
that we all have been devastated by at some point in our life. And what is the difference to pick yourself back up and make that a positive experience, as counterintuitive and oxymoronic that sounds, to do what you've done, because it's incredible to everyone along the way. How does your mindset do that?
I think it's different for everyone, right? And we're back to this, like, women are not a monolith, and neither are survivors.
Yeah.
Like I said, 1/3 of folks will never disclose their experience.
So does that mean, do you think they've suppressed it, or they just can't speak of it? And
for some, it's a choice.
Yeah.
There are so many conversations I've been a part of over the years, where people bring, vastly different perspectives about how they want to wrangle and manage their experience. For me, working on actual policy solutions, making things better, more accessible, for the individuals in our society that have these experiences, that's where I get
the biggest change,
my motivation. And a lot of survivors feel that way. Turning pain into purpose is something we hear, very often. Survivors are often looking to, engage in that policy change, or engage in public speaking, share their experiences. They become volunteers. When you look at our rape crisis centers and domestic violence centers across the Commonwealth, the majority of individuals, not all, but the majority of individuals working in those centers are survivors themselves, or have had some sort of impact
That's
themselves.
remarkable to me.
But perfectly then suited to be the first person on the front line to work with a young woman. I could be a young...
Absolutely.
And what an example sitting there.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you can get to this point, I mean, I just automatically feel better that you can help me.
Well, and if you could, you can share the resources that you might not have known about in your experience at 17. I mean, where would you even know where to find those now in our day and age? It's you could help them. This is step 1. This is step 2. And these are people you speak with. These are, whether it's physician you go to, mental health counselors. So that's so important to have that one of the buckets on the commission as well, is dealing. And I mean, I can't imagine a better person to lead all those initiatives. So tell us about today. Now, today is a very big day. Yes. And this episode is, we're going to release this next week. So, we'll just be shy of your entire launch with what you're going to share with us. For Pennsylvania. So
breaking news.
Yes, it is.
It is breaking. You are the first to hear, right?
By the time breaking news, baby.
By the time
we love a good breaking news story.
By the time your listeners hear this, we'll have launched. But we are launching today. In fact, while we sit here,
it's 12:25.
our social media post just went out 10 minutes ago. Announcing
I'm so excited.
The survey portion of this initiative. So the Women's Commission, we brought in the governor appointed, I should say, a new body of commissioners this summer. And those commissioners serve a 2-year term to advise him. And so when I gathered all these commissioners together in Harrisburg over the summer, we talked about, what our priorities are going to be and what we want to do and what kind of impact, we want to have. I brought to their attention that I had done a little bit of, I'm a bit of a nerd. Truly. I had done a little digging into the history of the commission. Yeah. And I found that the very first commission I mentioned that was created in the 60s took 18 months to write the very first comprehensive report on the status of women in the Commonwealth. It was published in 1966. Oh. And I also found that the last comprehensive report on the status of women in Pennsylvania was published by the previous commission in 2004.
Oh, that's
so
a long
it has
time
been
ago.
over 20 years.
That's a long
time. And I'm sharing this with my commissioners, and they were like, hands down, that's the first thing we're gonna do. And
that's a big undertaking,
right? I was like, ladies,
not too big for
are
you,
you
but
sure?
that's big.
Are you
That's
sure
big.
this is what you want to do?
Good tribe and enough of the tribe that everyone can sort of take one thing and run with it.
Yeah. So I said, we'll come back to this, right? Kept on with the meeting and circled back in a few weeks and, are you sure this is what you guys want to do? And they're like, yep, 100%. I thought, okay, so that's what we're doing. So it's been months of preparation. We launched today. The report itself will look at the historical reports in Pennsylvania. And, sitting in the governor's office, we've got great data access, right? Like all the data collected by our state agencies, we'll be partnering with them to collect and kind of analyze that data from the lens of the Women's Commission. But then, we also need to ensure that we are hearing directly from women across the state.
That's what I love.
So we're doing two things. We're launching what I have been telling people is a robust digital survey, because I feel like we've all gotten accustomed to these like 1 and 2 minute surveys. Yeah. This is not that.
So you're doing a deep dive.
This is long form.
Yeah. It is a big survey. It'll take about 20 minutes to complete.
Yeah.
We're launching that, 10 minutes ago in English.
When we're done, we got to go take our survey.
Yes, please.
Yes.
In English, Spanish, and Chinese. And then we are also launching a listening tour across the state.
And I love that idea.
We are going to show up in communities and we are going to listen to women. We are not going to show up as government to talk at them. We are going to ask them, what is the state of women in Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
What brought you here today?
Listening
so
equals
are you
learning?
And you had just said that. That was a great preface to that.
Yes.
Now, Ashley, how
Zero
will
sum.
you, like at the listening tours, and I love that, going to people. I love that. Instead of saying, you guys, everyone must come to the Capitol or wherever. With those stories, what is step 2? When women start sharing their stories, are they recorded? Are they captured in some way?
Yeah, you will see us taking diligent notes, right? We want all participants' anonymity and confidentiality to be protected. So we're not asking for any names. Women don't have to identify themselves in any way. And I'm sure, having participated in listening sessions over the years, right, I'm sure there will be some standout stories, right? But we're going to be looking for large overarching themes that come up out of this, right? So like we've started a outline of what we think this report could be. It's admittedly very big. And I anticipate that as a result of the survey and these listening sessions, there's going to be things that maybe we don't report on, right? Like women aren't talking about these things. And there's going to be things we didn't think about that women are bringing to us. And we're going to add into the report.
So what do we have? Pennsylvania has, 12 million people? Mm-hmm. And so 6 million women do we have? Or 5.5 million? I don't know what the gender breakdown is in
I think
PA,
we've got slightly more women than men.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that. So are there peer states that you have, that you're following or learning from, other neighboring or any other states that have done this level of comprehensive report?
I've seen one or two.
Okay.
They all look a little different. Our biggest comparison is the past reports for Pennsylvania. We want to make sure that
measure it
we're,
against.
we're honoring the legacy of the women who have come before us, right?
That's
it is
the
Women's
North Star.
History Month,
Yeah,
right?
Nice.
And the commission has had some, badass women who have walked the
Hashtag
path
badass women.
before
That's who
us.
comes in here.
We love it. We love it.
So yeah, we want to make sure we're honoring their legacy and doing them justice as well.
And what's the time frame of that? So you launched today. What is the time frame for the survey and the listening tour?
Yeah, good question. From now to the end of May. So
nice.
The survey is going to be open until May 30th. That's also the last day of our listening tour.
Okay.
We've got 13 listening tour sessions.
That's so blanketing the state. Great.
Yes.
Yeah.
All corners of the state. And one virtual session
Nice.
too. So that folks who, either don't want to come in person or,
And you're hoping for all ages, socioeconomic backgrounds.
over 13.
Okay.
Age over 13. But children are welcome to come. So each of the listening sessions, we're going to have a kids activity table in the back
that's
so
a
that
good
women don't
idea.
have to find childcare in order
that's
to
great.
attend.
That's great.
And we'll have, some light food and beverage. But yeah, we really want women from all different backgrounds, cultures, education levels. I want women who are working outside the home and women who are working in the home.
Great. I love it. I love it. So go back to some of the backstory. What would you tell your younger self? Like now you have a very big job, and clearly not only your passion and your trauma-informed support and leadership you've done, but you're a mother of 3 sons. So what would you tell your younger self?
That's a big question. I think the biggest piece of advice that I continue to give to women across the board, so I guess maybe this would be my advice to myself as well, is to always lead with curiosity. I think in today's day and age, we are inclined to do far more talking than listening, and I think that's a mistake.
Well, that's a theme. Annie opened us up with that, and you've just shared several examples of that. And I think that's a good business vitamin, is to speak less, listen more.
And it's not a coincidence to me that more curious people are better listeners. They're curious for a reason. Mm-hmm. They're sincere and genuine in wanting to know, or they wouldn't largely be asking. And so that's, to me, the key to like a life of learning.
Yep.
And constantly understanding that you have no idea. You do not know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And people are the most fascinating aspect of that.
It's true.
And to be able to help anyone, you have to listen first.
Yeah. I think we also need to stay curious about ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. You brought up a great point earlier, and when you asked, do you think folks suppress their trauma? 100%. Yeah. Or the full impact of it.
Right.
We compartmentalize, and our brains are big, beautiful, badass things, right?
Yeah.
They compartmentalize to keep us safe. They're designed to do that. And I think it's very easy for us to take experiences we've had in childhood and adulthood and just, I'm gonna put that over here to get through the day.
To get totally protection
instead of processing it, working on it, and integrating it into the fullness of who you are as a human being. And the more that we can do that, the more we can stay curious about ourselves and other people.
Right.
The healthier we're going to be, the healthier our communities are going to be, the more we're going to, I think, feel comfortable leading with that curiosity, because curiosity can be uncomfortable.
Asking questions can be uncomfortable too.
And that's the true authentic part of being vulnerable.
Yeah.
Is to be able to not just necessarily ask, but listen and then internalize it to your best self, you know, to your point, because that's who you're with 24/7.
So Ashley, what do you hope, back to the report, and I'm so excited I am going to be on one of your listening sessions, and Annie, I hope you join me too. What do you hope the report will do for women in Pennsylvania? Like, do you have an expected outcome? Like, besides data collection and the stories, is there a goal that you're looking to achieve?
We as a commission are hoping that the report doesn't just serve as a benchmark in time. I think we're in a really interesting point in women's history, right? And in our country, 250th anniversary
we
this
forgot
year.
to say that. Yes. Perfect.
Most awesome license plate ever,
I
by
know.
the way.
Oh,
The new P plate.
Agreed. I love it. A really interesting time. And so I think we need to mark this point in women's history. But also, we want it to be a catalyst for ongoing discussion and dialogue, right? I want folks to be curious about the report. I want folks to pick it up, policymakers and policy influencers especially, and say, you know, well, what is the top thing on my female constituents' mind, right? What do they need from me as an elected official, or
it should inform them. It should educate them.
Or a business owner. You know, what is my community really looking for? How can I create workplace policies that are beneficial and uplifting to women? How can I create a safe workplace?
Well, even in marketing, you know, you want to know, what does the largest cohort of purchasing power feel and think in Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
What are they thinking about? And lots of times brands could be totally missing the mark. Like, I thought they cared about, you know, I don't know, easy access or one click, and they really don't. You know, maybe the emphasis is more, they care more about their security for their children online, or those types of issues. I'm excited to see that. Excited that you're doing it. I know it's a huge, heavy lift. And I'm sure when you started, you just thought, you know, Annie, when there's big projects, you're like, oh, I don't know, I can't see the end yet. That's
it. And when we can't see the end, we don't begin.
Yeah.
If we don't see a successful ending outcome, we just don't do it.
Yeah.
And I think that is a common launch point to your very beginning, Ashley, that everyone had a voice in.
Yeah.
Wasn't anyone excluded? We didn't say, oh, we're going to talk to these people, but not these people. Yeah. It was wide open, and now it aggregates the entire state into one launching point to benefit further.
Go ahead.
It's interesting. You know, a lot of the challenges I hear a lot of the same challenges from all areas of our state: housing, childcare, pay equity, right? These are the things women are talking about, and menopause, always menopause.
I think we need a couple, like, Ashley's lighting a fire under us. We need some episodes on menopause. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to.
I can give you
physical, spiritual, emotional. Yeah. What doesn't it touch in you?
Yeah, I can give you some great speaker recommendations.
Good.
Not myself, but you know, these are the things that I hear about often. But they often manifest differently in different communities. You know, the childcare crisis doesn't look the same in Philadelphia as it does up in Honesdale, right? It's different.
Yeah.
Which means then our solutions might need to be different. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know. But I'm interested to hear directly from women about how these things, you know, are impacting them personally and impacting their communities and their families and workspaces.
I think the listening tour reveals a type of honesty that a survey may not capture.
Yeah.
Like, when you're sitting there and these women are talking, you're asking questions, you can see facial expression, you can read body language.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that they feel a sense of, excuse me, safety and security to be able to share those stories with you. And I'm hoping one of the outcomes, this is probably selfish, is that we're all able to see a lot more commonality among us than what the conversation at the 50,000 foot level is quite divisive. And focusing on what we disagree on or where we're not aligned. And I'm hoping this uncovers that actually, women and moms and seniors and retirees have a lot more in common than we
unifying
expected.
and not polarizing.
Yes.
Completely agree.
Yeah.
Completely agree. It is one of the things that I love about the commission.
That too.
My commissioners, like I said, we don't always agree on the solutions, but we can usually get there when we create space to really hear each other and understand, the why of, our own lived experience and what we're bringing to the table. Because it all has value.
Yeah.
It all has value.
And Deeter Gallaher.
This is the famous line. I'm staring at the clock, knowing
we are so far over. Aren't you proud of me? I did not.
That was
beat
such
the drum.
Self-discipline. I know.
You don't even have to say we can do what we want. It's our show. We're way over.
If we were on the Gong Show, you would have hit the gong.
Yes, I couldn't find
and I've just dated myself.
Wasn't looking for it. But.
So last question, Ashley, and we need Ashley back because we didn't even break the surface.
Well, I think it would be great, like down the road.
Yes,
when
totally.
It's evolved.
Yeah,
and
I think that'd be great.
You found that surprised you, what maybe didn't surprise you, what just I would love to hear this journey.
How can women be involved? So we've talked. Today is a launch day. It's we're honored that we could be here and be one of the amplifiers of this message.
And it's incredible.
It's near and dear to us because the podcast was created, we're in our 5th year, to shorten the learning curves of women, to help women your age.
Emotionally, physically, spiritually. We're all doing the same journey in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
So where can our listeners learn more about this or even be part of your project?
Yeah. Great question. Facebook and Instagram are the easiest ways to find us and keep up with all the work that we're doing.
And that's the PA Governor's Commission on Women.
Yes, it's Governor's Advisory Commission on Women.
Okay.
On Instagram, it's just at PA Women.
Okay.
Much easier.
Great.
All that, it starts to go out this afternoon. There'll also be a press release at pa.gov with all the information on all the survey links and the session registration links.
Great.
And all of that too.
Well, we're excited. You heard it here first.
Wow. It's true.
Before any of the news stations. I know.
Incredible.
All right, Ashley, we're honored to have you with us to share this. And we're honored to be part of your story now, part of Pennsylvania women's story, and participate and support you in that. So have a high gear day. I can't wait to take the survey.
Well, thank you both so much for all the work that you're doing to uplift and empower women all across Pennsylvania by sharing their stories and diving into some of these, sensitive and motivating topics.
Thank you.
Appreciate the shout out.
Thanks for listening. It's our desire that these stories will bring energy, ideas, and fresh thinking that you can use today. Subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Instagram, and have a high gear day.